Hey, good morning, everyone. Still trying to get the stream set up a little bit. I'm trying to increase the quality of what you see on the painting right now, so give me a minute or two. Okay, well, I don't think anything I just changed really helped. Good morning, Thinker. Good afternoon, Ulan. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. Have I ever done plein air painting? That's a good question. And yes, I have. Yeah, when I lived in Florida, I did it for years. Which is kind of odd, because I live in Washington now, and honestly, the scenery out here is, I think, significantly more beautiful, and everything was just so flat in Florida, yet I don't do plein air painting out here. I think it's mainly, the weather, especially up in the mountains, is unpredictable. It's pretty fun, honestly. Do I like it? Did I like it? Yeah, I mean, at the time, I really liked it because, in summertime when the weather's good, when it's gonna be nice. Yeah, it is pretty fun because you don't know what you're gonna get half the time. It's kind of like the Wild West of painting almost. I remember, kind of walking around forever sometimes trying to find a good scene. And this is where composition, your ability to compose and, change the image up as you are working, quickly. That's the other thing. You have to work quickly because for landscape painting, 2 hours is all you've got. The light changes that quickly. So if you're interested in doing it, my suggestion is go to a place that you know is pretty at a time that you know is pretty, like right off, and take a small painting, something very small, 5 by 7, 8 by 10, nothing larger than that. And then, just start small, work your way up. Because you'll find that, well, and that you don't get too detailed into the materials because there's like a million pochade boxes out there that you could buy, all kinds of different things that you could get to help you with landscape painting. James Gurney is actually a great person to look at as far as, you know, in the wild painting. He does gouache and watercolor all the time. Has a really cool setup. Yeah, just buy a simple setup and go for it. Keep it short, keep it small, have fun with it. You'll run into all, actually, you know, you can create some good stories from it because you'll run into all kinds of bugs and different lighting conditions and just a lot of fun stuff. And then sometimes you know, there's a scene that you want to see or you want to paint, but there's always going to be a bunch of people around, so you have to be okay with people watching you paint. All right, almost, you know, I do this almost every time we start. I mix up a really dark color. My darkest dark, ultramarine, burnt umber, alizarin crimson. You know, I didn't make this up. I got that from Richard Smith, his book, Alla Prima. Just love that book. I'm going to leave that for a moment, and then I'm also going to mix up the colors that we really enjoy, like those gray tones that I made yesterday. I'm trying to remember that mixture, honestly. You know what? Let's start with burnt umber because it is an orange. It's dark, but it's an orange, and it's just as close to gray. I feel like it's closer to gray than transparent earth orange. Yeah, we're going to start with that. That's actually pretty close to what I ended up with yesterday. Got there a lot faster this time because I now know that I needed something closer to gray. But then I'll also come up here with transparent earth orange and get a little bit of that in there, just in case I need some of that intensity. All right, now I'm ready to actually put this to the canvas. Let's go. So where I ended up with yesterday is right at this stripe. And I'm still thinking about what you said yesterday, Thinker, about the forehead and pushing it back in space, improving the shape of it a bit. Has a lot to do with those stripes right now. Oh, one thing is, I want to say thank you to Ulan. Thank you for downloading my 100 ideas for daily minimums. I saw the email come through. It's I haven't been able to get to it yet. There's all these other higher priority items that I've been working on. I'm going to be sending an email to Ashton because he purchased my nose tutorial. So that was good. So thank you guys. I appreciate it tremendously. And let me know if it helps. Let me know if there is anything that you would want added or if you have any questions. You know, now that I remember, I have done some landscape painting here in Washington years ago. And in Oregon. We lived in Oregon for a year. We didn't live in a great spot in Oregon, so we didn't like it, so we came back to Washington. But I remember at one point in Oregon, I wanted to do some landscape painting. And one day I had planned, okay, I'm going to do some landscape painting. And it started raining, so I said, I don't care, I'm going to do some landscape painting. So I went out and I found a place, and I didn't get out of my car. I was actually painting in my car. Now, even without solvents, oil paint itself has a smell to it. It's not toxic, but, you know, for some people it maybe is pleasant, but I didn't like it, so I did have to crack the windows. Because, you know, it's kind of like, you know, walking into a home after they've cooked some kind of food that just doesn't smell so good. Or after you just ate. You know, it just didn't smell too good. I remember that. But it was a way for me to stay warm and dry and paint. Although it was not a good painting because I was looking through a windshield that was very wet. And I think on my blog I was talking about it, that it did help to generalize the image because all I could see is a blur. Kind of fun. Oh, I need a very bright color. Wow, that's super bright. That's okay. Now let's try this. Oh, I forgot to add in some medium. Always need to add in some medium every time. Would you ever go back to plein air? Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, if I had a lot more time in the day, and if I wanted to increase those skills, because, you know, honestly, it's a whole other ball of wax, as they say. A really good friend of mine, Michael Orwick, O-R-W-I-C-K, he does just absolutely beautiful landscapes in Oregon. You can check out his YouTube channel. He does tutorial, like classes and all kinds of stuff with people in Oregon. And he puts a lot of them on YouTube. I was helping him get his YouTube set up for monetization, so he's actually making a bit of money on YouTube from them. He's got some beautiful landscapes. He's a tonalist, which is interesting. And he's a full-time artist that sells in galleries in Carmel, California, and other places on the West Coast that are just, you know, the places you want to be as far as an artist selling work. There's little bits of sunlight up here that I'm trying to capture. Hey, Yulan. I have now done some sketching on 3 days. Hopefully can continue it every day. Did not use any of your suggestions from PDF yet, but those will be needed at some point, I'm sure. Oh no, that's great. The most important point is getting out there and doing something daily. You know, setting that minimum. something that you know you can achieve on, any day. And then, committing to it. And you're right, like, the most important thing is to do what you're motivated on, what you're kind of like, oh, this is what I feel like doing today. It's not on any of the things that Chris suggested, but it's what I feel like doing. And that's the most important. Just, getting out there, doing something. It's so amazing how complex even the most simple thing you think would be. Just drawing cubes in space, drawing like a cereal box or anything. Like, you have a very busy day or you don't feel good, maybe you're sick or something like that. And just sitting down, looking around you, and drawing the most simple thing can be very challenging. Okay, that value is good, but it's too intense. Hairs that I just put up there are too yellow. So we want to bring that yellow down. What is the complementary to yellow? Is it purple? Let's just go straight blue first. And a little bit of red. Okay, that graded up nicely, but because I already have a yellow down, there is yellow paint already on the canvas that I want to change its intensity of. I need to make up a color that's even more purplish. To change that color. And something that's closer to the same value as well. Now let's try this one. Yeah, mixing on the canvas is something you can definitely do all the time. Paint doesn't have to be mixed just on the palette. I believe there's artists out there that have made, kind of a career on that. They won't mix on the palette, they'll just put colors down on the painting. And then mix on the painting. Of course, I think these are mostly abstract artists. I can't point out anybody in particular. I'm working a little bit faster today as well. Feeling a need to get more done today. And I want to get a lot down to see how the transition from foreground to background in this forehead works. So Ulan, what were you sketching the past 3 days, if you'd like to share? And any kind of insights you gathered from while you were sketching? I tend to talk so much about what I'm doing or myself here. I always like to hear what others are doing, you know, what challenges you have as an artist, or what successes you're facing as an artist. That's always good too. It's not just about challenge. Sometimes we have some really cool successes. Random stuff, a chair and birds. Nice. Yeah, just if you look at my website, it's full of nothing but random stuff. That's wonderful. Paint what you like. I'm glad you like birds. My mother-in-law loves birds. I could paint birds for her all the time. Oh, we know a person that works at Woodland Park Zoo. She is a avian keeper, so a bird keeper. We went on several hikes for her. I have barely ever painted any birds, and I would consider them probably pretty difficult, especially in flight. That would be really interesting. That's a really wonderful subject matter, honestly. It's one of those things where you see so many people that are painting birds. Like a lot of galleries and things will have, you know, paintings of birds. A lot of people love birds, and each and every one, you know, they have their own vision of a bird, and they're all completely different. It's fantastic. There's never kind of it's not exhausted at all. It's always, you know, something new and interesting. It's kind of like landscape painting. Yeah, keep going on the birds if you're motivated by it. Sounds like it's really interesting. And let me know when you want to share. I'd love to see your work. You know, shoot me an email sometimes if with your picture of your work if you want any feedback. I'd be happy to help. I know that's difficult a lot of times, sharing your work. I can understand. I've been there a lot. I've kind of gotten over it. Here I am on my live stream, painting. Oof. I'm getting so detailed here. Oh, Thinker says, I've been asked to paint bees for a fundraiser for a local cafe. Got a good pick from Pexels as ref. Oh, fantastic. That's great. I mean, that's like several points of motivation all at once. So you're doing it for a good cause, and you know, it's a very interesting subject. Okay. Looking back and forth to my painting like crazy right now. trying to figure this out. How to go faster, but keep it the way I want it. Not so easy. I share my drawings and paintings on Instagram, though they are far from good. Yeah, you know, thank you for that. I'll have to look up your Instagram, or you can share it here. Yeah, put it in the comments. Both Thinker and I can look at it. I'll look at the comments later after I'm done. And I'll follow you on Instagram. Or you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Beaven Art. And then I'll follow you back. That's way I can see your work. That'd be pretty cool to see. But, you know, don't worry too much about good and bad. The more you do, that will change. And your good is your bad is someone else's great. Just like your good is someone else's bad, right? It's so subjective. I learned this tremendously when putting, you know, my painting in a show and thinking it wasn't going to do anything, and then end up winning Best in Show. I was like, what? Really? Are you kidding me? So you never know. I am following you already, and I think you are already following both your accounts. Oh, wow. Yeah, I tend, like, I get follows, and what I tend to do is just follow right back after I view the people. You know, it's one of those platforms where it's like, I love seeing all the work that comes through and all the stuff. And unless I get followed by, you know, somebody that's just advertising a bunch of stuff. And then, you know, after a while of seeing their ads or something, I'll unfollow. But I feel like it's kind of like, hello, yeah, I see you. I'll follow back. All right, I'll have to, if you have two accounts, it sounds like that they're of a different name. So if they don't have Ulan in the name, I may have trouble finding them, but I'd like to see your birds. I will have to warn you, because I'm the kind of person where, because I thrive on, you know, critical feedback, you know, feedback that is both good, you know, something good and something bad, or not bad, but something constructive, as well as, you know, the positive and negative. I think that's really important for artists. A lot of times, you know, people don't know how to critique work, and they just say, "Oh yeah, that's beautiful. I like that." When in their mind, they're probably thinking, "Well, I really don't care for that." But they don't, you know, they don't want to tell people that, yeah, you need to work on that. It's one of those things for many people that aren't artists. They think, well, who am I to say that I don't like their work? I mean, I couldn't do anything close to it, you know? But I would prefer that anybody, whether they're an artist or not, professional or not, you know, really good or not, would give me honest feedback on my work. Even while I'm doing it, like right here. If you're like, you know, I follow you because I like the conversation, but I really don't like the tiger. I would say, awesome. Tell me why. Where do you feel it's falling short? So that's the caveat, is if I do, or when I look up your birds, I'm going to give you some constructive feedback. Hopefully it will help. If not, just ignore it. Just say, oh, thank you. I'm going to keep painting the way I want to paint, and that's totally cool. Something constructive. More teal. Not up here. Actually, I have a little bit of teal there. And I think it's way out of place. So I'm going to actually cover that one up just a little bit. There's a little bit of teal showing. Thanks for reminding me of that teal that I needed to cover up. Don't worry, when we get into the background, the background's a bit too warm. I think I need to, I love your tiger. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I like the mistype there. The I live your tiger. Actually, I mean, because the title of this painting is Perseverance. So let's all live the tiger, you know. Perseverance in our artwork. Fantastic. Live the tiger. Live like a tiger. Okay. So the stripes over here are different than the digital reference, but I think I'm okay with that. I don't think I'm going to change it. I will try and make this spot of bright light different. And the other thing I'm going to do that right now. The one thing I was thinking about while I was looking at this painting yesterday. So if a black stripe is in direct sunlight and the sunlight is warm, maybe it's a later day. Actually, in this instance, because the sunlight's kind of coming from above, it'd be it wouldn't be during the golden hour, so the sunlight would be a little bit closer to a cooler color. The color temperature would be right up there with like 6,000 Kelvin or something like that. So it would probably make a grayish color rather than a warmish. Well, this is somewhat warm gray color. And I think that's what this is missing, especially in these places where direct sunlight will be hitting those black stripes. And having that closer transition, I think, will increase the believability of the sunlight hitting these areas directly. Needs to be darker. So the next thing I'm going to do is mix up some more of my darkest dark here. I do not want to give up the ultramarine, the rest of that ultramarine blue I have in the tube, but it is coming out of the tube stiff. I just put that ultramarine blue on the palette and it's really stiff. I think what I'll probably do is I'll compare it against my newer tube, which is a smaller tube, And see if it's just me. Maybe it's just, I'm not used to the stiffness of it. Just checked out your Instagram stuff, Ulan. Very nice. I like your tiger a lot. Is the cardinal one you just did? Oh, awesome. Look at that. Thinker's already checking things out. Cardinal is my first bird. The other two I haven't actually posted. You know, Instagram is a wonderful way of keeping track of your work as well. I have a friend of mine, an artist. He's a figurative artist, and that's how he keeps track of, you know, his artwork. He'll snap a photo of it real quick on his phone, put it on Instagram, and then he'll do that for months. And it's a private Instagram account, so, you know, if he doesn't want to share anything, which he doesn't, and he uses it kind of as fuel for motivation. Like, he can see his skill level increase, and he says it's really motivating for him, and it's super easy. My way of tracking is a bit arduous because I love the extreme data of it, but, you know, making a blog post every time, I try and keep it, well, I keep my blog posts super short right now. I don't even say much. I just, for these things that I put down, I just link to the live stream for that day, because I basically say everything in the live stream. But the point of that is tracking your work is a great place for motivation. Keeping track of what you do is, it's like Seinfeld. He would do a joke a day and just do an X on his calendar. Probably one of the things that helped him become a really great comedian was that consistent practice. You know, every single day he would just collect the streak and don't break the streak. And I'm pretty sure he had days where, you know, it's just like writing knock-knock jokes. You know, or something not as, you know, awesome. Just doing what he could. Oh, the tiger you did is unfinished. Yeah, I totally get that. I've done a lot of drawings, paintings, everything where I'm just like, yeah, I started this, I was motivated in it. Maybe I put it down for too long or something like that. Or maybe just, you know, somewhat through. I'm just kind of like, yeah, I thought I would be interested in this subject matter, but I'm not. And I stopped. And you know what? It's all good. No problem with that. You don't have to finish everything. Okay. I'm thinking what's happening right now is I have some edge issues that is causing... I need to finish a sentence while I'm doing this. I have hard edges all over the place, so we have a foreground element, background elements, and you know, not as much as the difference between the hard edges all on the tiger and the background, how soft that is, but I could make the foreground here, the forehead, or keep it hard, and then begin to soften up a lot of things back here to really push it back. And the first thing I'm going to do is kind of harden up some of these very foreground areas and increase contrast at the same time. The easiest way to do that is, you know, the darker value with those black stripes, just kind of put some of that in there. And now, let's soften some edges in the background. I just pulled as much of paint out of this brush as I can, and it's basically a very dry brush. It doesn't have any paint in it. And I'm lightly going over everything here. Every place where I have paint that's down already, basically. And I hope that the softening of these edges back here will help to push this area further back. And I don't have enough paint right here, so I'm gonna add some, a little bit lighter. Hey, good morning, Ashton. How are you this morning? Up and getting ready for class. Wonderful. Thanks for joining. Actually, I need to lighten up the back of the head as well, but I don't want to add much intensity to it. I want to keep the intensity up front, really push this head, the back of the head back. And I'm trying to keep my strokes very soft edged as well. Right. Okay, I'm going to stand back real quick. I'm going to get away from this for a moment to see if I was successful. Not too bad. You know, as far as the flatness of the head, I'm not seeing it as much anymore, but the one thing I do see is a need for bringing in those really bright tones from that shock of sunlight that's coming in. So I'm going to try and get into that now. Especially right here. Now what I like about what we did on this little area where the sunlight's coming in is it's bright in the center, and then on the edges it changes to a super intense color. So I'm going to get that brightness down first. You know, white and my Hansa yellow medium. This area needs so much more yellow. Now, whenever I'm not talking very much, it's because I'm really focusing hard on looking at the reference and trying as best as I can to reproduce what I'm seeing. It takes all of my brain power, which isn't much sometimes. Depending on how much sleep I got, you know, how the quality of my sleep, that will change. That's actually an interesting topic, but I'll get into that in a moment. The ref looks very much more saturated. Will you up the saturation in later glazes, or do you like it desaturated? Well, I did desaturate a lot here. I'll probably add some more saturation in, especially within the tiger. And the other thing that might be playing with that is I did this kind of blue glow around the reference and into the background. There's some purples and blues back there. It's actually, the background is a lot cooler. So I fear going too saturated on the tiger right now. Remember, it's, you know, it's all relative. But yeah, I always have more glazing layers I can do to bump it up if I need to. So I feel like, yeah, it's kind of like yes and no. I'm not sure. You know, what I could do when I have the ears in and then part of the sides, you know, all the way down to like right here on the sides, then maybe I'll jump in the background a little bit and, you know, play with that. That will give me a good understanding, you know, and think about bringing in a lot of those blues into the background. That'll give me a better understanding of where I'm at. And honestly, it could be something that I need to do right now. Or very soon, you know, not waiting till I get that much done before I do it. So let's see. I'm planning it in my head. And, you know, there's a lot of intensity that man, I cannot reach it. Well, I'm thinking that I can't. I'm gonna try and put, you know, this red on there. This is the most intense color that I have on my palette, is my red. It's a 16 on the Munsell scale. The other most intense color is I do have an orange. Let's bring that guy out. And unfortunately, it's a cadmium. And I don't think I'll be using this cadmium orange up anytime soon. But this is the other most intense color that I have in paint. Let's see what this looks like. Wow, that is super intense. If I put it over here next to my mixtures, that's crazy. You're so tired. Not get enough sleep last night? Partied all night? Maybe? It's that time of your life when partying hard is what we do. Wow, that's super intense, and it's in the wrong place up there. I hope you saw that. I put the orange up there, and it just stands out like a sore thumb. It just does not work. And that's because, not because of its intensity, but because of its value mainly. So this would be the height of intensity, and it would work well, you know, right on the nose, this area. Right as the yellow is transitioning into, or the edges of that splash of sunlight. Well, that's the other thing, Thinker. When you're talking about intensity, you know, I want this shock of sunlight to really pop out of the head. And so, if I'm already reaching for the most intense paints that I have, and it's not really getting there, then that tells me, okay, I'm at the limit of my paint, right? For the most intense. So now I need to lean on relative color or relative intensity. The only way to make these areas look more intense is to unsaturate what's around it and desaturate less intense what's around it. I was just up listening to a podcast attempting to fall asleep, but I couldn't fall for a while. Yeah, I think if you do that, you have to listen to like a very boring podcast. Media will stimulate your brain. Definitely. I'm sorry, you probably weren't even looking for any kind of help on that whatsoever. I just figured I'd volunteer it. But no, yeah. Don't worry. Maybe you can take a nap in the day. Naps are good. Yeah, I always tend to want to help, and sometimes I don't turn it off. It's like, you know, I'm not telling you because I want help, Chris. I just was kind of telling you about my day. Like, oh, okay, cool. I'll shut up. I'll talk about the tiger. decreasing the value of fur close to the shock of light will also make the light pop. That's true. So value and saturation. Yeah, you know, and that's a really good point. Cameras do this well. I mean, they do it to an extreme because they don't have um, the kind of flexibility of our eyes. You know, still they try to do, you know, high definition photographs. It still doesn't match what we can do with our eyes yet. At some point it will, I'm sure. It's getting close. But what'll happen in a camera is, you know, you're looking at a regular scene and then you bring, you know, super intense spot of sunlight in somewhere else. The camera will, like the entirety of the rest of the image will become underexposed just so it could match, so it won't overexpose the super bright highlight. And so the rest, it's kind of like a silhouette when you're looking at a silhouette in the camera. You know, you can see the background lighting with all its detail, but then the person that is silhouetted is nothing but black. So we would be painting high dynamic range, which allows for both to happen in smaller degrees. So the intensity of the light areas will be, you know, it will have its detail. It won't be blown out, as they say with photography. And the darker areas would have some of its detail and not be completely crushed to dark. I'll wake up more eventually. It's the cold weather making me want to curl back up in bed. I could see that. The cameras on phones are better than my eyes. I wear glasses. I think, yeah, I can. I don't wear glasses, but I was somewhere. I was at the grocery store trying to read the back of a bottle or something, and I was like, I cannot read this. And then I put my cell phone up to it and did the whole like magnifying thing, and I'm like, wow, I could read this so much better now. And then my immediate next thought was, oh crap, I'm getting old. Okay, so I'm going to bring the value down on some of that to really bring that shock out. And I'm going to keep it desaturated as well. So that's going to be burnt umber, a little bit of blue, very desaturated. It may be too dark, but let's see. I'll add it close to the black stripe at first, so that if it's too dark, it's not going to be a big deal. Yeah, it's too dark. Oh wow, it's already 5:30. I'm gonna go for another 10 minutes here. So as I'm doing this, you know, I'm thinking about my reference, and I know that I'm, you know, we did that painting together, and I know that what I'm doing right now is different from the reference. And I think that's really good. Even if it's the painting you've done, or if you're working from a master painting or life, you know, a beautiful photograph, you know, always seek to improve it in your way, and interject some of you into it. You know, both of those things. Those are exclusive things. So interject some of you would be number one. Number two would be, you know, how can I improve this? Especially with a painting that I've already done. Like, you know, digital has its abilities, but I think there's a lot of things in oil paint that we can improve upon. I think. I don't know yet. I'm re-establishing some of these stripes as helping out that contrast between the super bright shock of sunlight and what's around it. Right at the edges where that's going to stop, really. Honestly, what I think I need to do now is there's some intensity on the nose that needs to be brought up in here. This area is disconnected from this area. And even though I know that if the sunlight hit this nose, which is an orange local color of the tiger's fur, that it would have a different hue to it. Even though I know that, there's something that happens really within oil paint where more convincing has to happen. With photographs, people are convinced right away. I'm convinced right away because in our heads we think, oh, it's a photograph. It's, you know, it must be true. Although with AI art coming in, it's kind of like, you know, is that a photograph or not? I have no idea. So we're going to be questioning everything soon. But I need to bring these two together in some way. So, you know, a bit more convincing, a bit more connection. And also I feel I need that connection because this looks like a shock of sunlight here, something coming in. Could be brighter right in the center. But this doesn't. It looks like a local color splotch, like the discoloration of the tiger itself. So I'm going to be reaching into my super intense oranges here. And trying to make, you know, kind of small indications that connect the oranges here with everything that we see here. I'm working more in opaque color right now as well. Just a tiny bit of medium. Yeah, I think that helped out a lot. Let me bring that up into these little spots up here, which are the same thing. Little dapples of sunlight. Yeah, I'm liking that now. What do you guys think? I think that the value on the center of this highlight on the nose needs to come up a lot, though. I'm trying to get that color dodge glow that you can get in digital. Yeah, I feel like that's working. I hope you guys think the same. And if you don't, please let me know. Yeah, just really staring at the painting right now. Better, I think the value on the right side of the bridge of the nose needs to be decreased. Yeah, as I squint down, I can see what you're talking about. But let me ask you this, is it the value on the right side of the bridge of the nose, or is it the value on the top of the nose and right here that need to be increased? I guess the best way to understand that is we have our darkest dark here, and as I compare that against what I have here on the right side of the bridge of the nose, I'm squinting down, looking back and forth from the reference. Actually, when I look at it on the small screen on my phone, I'm gonna say you're totally right. Oh, that's really interesting. Maybe I should just be looking at my phone more often than not. Wow, that's really interesting. I'm gonna put it down here so you guys can see. There's a lot of detail that's lost in the phone from the painting. Oh, there's gonna be some recursion happening here with There you go. You know, a phone within a painting within a painting within a painting within a painting, like to infinity. That's fun. But I'm looking at the, you know, the phone versus what I'm looking at, you know, on the painting. It's actually a pretty good generalization of all the values. But now I'm thinking that my ISO is too high for you guys. Maybe not. Well, it's not going to kill it if I bring that down. So bridge of the nose decreases as well. Let's start with the, you know, before I go, I'm gonna put this down so that I can live with it for a little bit. Let's see where this value is. I may need to decrease this value. And I'm gonna add a lot of, well, somewhat medium to it. Nope, not dark enough. Bringing up the intensity of this color as well. Value down, making it a bit intense. And then I'm going to go with the form on this as well. I always try and do that. So the angle of the side of the nose is kind of turning off in this direction, so I'm going to make my strokes go in that direction. They're a little bit too chunky for me, so I'm going to clean out my brush and then take a dry brush and kind of fade it down a bit as well. Trying not to get into my super intense color, but I just did. That's fine. Corrections at this point are not too difficult to do. And then I'm going to take it down this way as well. I could really paint all day, I think. My back would be killing me at the end of it, but much better. Now darken the bridge of the nose by the right eye. Oop, too dark. Now go exercise. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Almost done. That's why I say we on this painting, is because, yeah, your input is very helpful. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that worked well. That worked really well. Listening to you and looking at, you know, just straight up at the phone on this and comparing this way with these little small things. And I say this so many times. If, you know, everyone has a cell phone, right? If you want to see, you know, if you want to get away from your painting and see all the errors that you can correct really easily, cell phone. Take a picture of it. Look at it and you'll see all those areas right away. It's fantastic. That's the best way to use technology with oil painting. And I think almost essential, you know. That's number one for digital technology helping traditional artists. Definitely. Okay. Thanks, guys. We've improved this painting a bunch today. And tomorrow we will continue to expound upon it. Expand our level of influence. I know it's going slow, but bear with me. We'll definitely come out with an amazing painting at the ending. And the background will go a lot faster, I'm sure. So with that said, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.